स्ट्रक्चर को हम चैलेंज नहीं करेंगे, इस पार्टी हाईकमांड को हम चैलेंज नहीं करेंगे। ये सत्ता उनसे निकलकर इस देश की जनता के बीच में आनी चाहिए।
Is the magic of Anna Hazare over? Is it wrong for the movement to have taken a completely political turn? Did Team Anna overestimate the support they enjoyed amongst the people? Those are the issues we're debating on Centre Stage tonight. Joining us on the show, Shashi Tharoor, Member of Parliament from the Congress Party. With us also Anupam Kher, who was on the stage with Anna Hazare, believes firmly in his cause. Sheshadri Chari is a National Executive Member of the BJP, and Shazia Ilmi is a member of Team Anna. And I put my first question to Shazia, who's at the MMRDA grounds. This is the first time Anna Hazare has had to concede defeat. Do you think that the sort of overall power that Anna Hazare had on the Indian imagination, the fact that it captivated people all across the country, do you believe that magic, Shazia, has now worn out?
No, not at all. I think the swell of the crowd was just coming back. It took a day and a half for us to garner momentum and for the movement to actually become bigger and for people to start coming in. If you ask your reporters who were present here, post 4 p.m., I mean, I do concede that till yesterday it was disheartening to see lesser turnout than what we expected. But if you follow, the crowds today and the turnout post 4 p.m., it really started filling up. And a lot of people, and I don't want to mean to sound to be making excuses right now, but I must tell you something, Rahul, that people had a genuine logistical problem. We started sorting it out from 12 o'clock onwards, and believe you me, there were crowds and crowds coming in. I was feeling bad because 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., but the kind of turnout we saw and the momentum picking up, it was also unfortunate that Anna wasn't really doing well and he had to call off his fast.
So you're saying that the momentum was building up, more people would have come in, because many in the government, Dr. Tharoor, are showcasing the poor turnout at the MMRDA grounds and across the country as proof of the fact that Anna Hazare's magic was waning. He no longer had the same sort of control as he did over the people several months ago, and that was proof of the fact that what the government was doing was now acceptable, because Shazia says it's down to nuts and bolts of logistics. If the agitation had gone on for a couple of more days, thousands of more people would have come in, Dr. Tharoor.
Well, look, the first and most important thing for me to say is that I wish Anna Hazare ji a speedy and complete recovery. We want him to be in good health, and we're sorry to hear he's not been feeling well. But the second thing to say is, frankly, this last fast was completely unnecessary. The objective of his earlier efforts was quite rightly to raise the temperature on this issue. The issue was already on the nation's agenda, but had not been treated with the kind of urgency that he brought to it. And I think certainly now that it was actually being debated in Parliament and a resolution was being passed, this was clearly not the time to embark upon another fast. From our point of view, what we saw, what the nation saw, what all people tuned in from all over the country for 12 hours yesterday was a serious engagement with the issues that Annaji says he's concerned about. And so that is where, in a deliberative democracy like India's, that is where the action is. Parliament is where laws are made, and frankly, it's perfectly understandable that more people were focused on what was going on in Parliament than what was happening with the fast or not happening with the fast.
Mr. Anupam Kher, was the timing completely off? The fact that Parliament was deliberating the Lokpal bill, Anna Hazare chose to take on Parliament in several senses, and that didn't go down well. You were there at the MMRDA grounds. You saw how thin the attendance was. Do you believe, Mr. Kher, that the attendance is wearing out, that the hold he had? Let me put that question to Sheshadri Chari. Was the timing completely off, Mr. Sheshadri Chari? Do you believe that this was a badly timed agitation that's backfired, and now the government has proof that maybe his control over the people is wearing thin?
No, I don't think the timing was anything wrong, but I think Anna was apprehensive that the bill that the Congress party has brought out may not be sufficient to meet all the demands that he had made. But he was very hopeful probably that the Parliament would somehow come up with a magic and do the needful. So the opposition parties together, and even the Congress party, did concede some of the demands that the opposition and Anna team had made. But I think Anna team would have probably waited for some more time, and they wanted to see the outcome of the debate in the Parliament. But I think it's a strategic withdrawal from the point of view of Mr. Anna Hazare and others, I think it's always said that a good general knows when to retreat. There is nothing wrong in retreating, and probably after what the Parliament saw yesterday, and after having come up with a bill that does not meet the demands of the civil society, I think the
You're saying it's a strategic retreat, not an outright defeat. But Shazia, you're saying there were logistical problems in getting to the MMRDA grounds. But we've got these images, and I'll call them now up on our screen, from Bangalore, from Lucknow, from Kolkata, even from the Ramleela grounds in New Delhi, where thousands of people had turned out the last time. If you look at the grounds now, they're empty. So this is not just about logistics at the MMRDA grounds. Across the country, the reception seems to have been insipid.
No, can you please explain this to me? I mean, this is just 10 days back in Chennai, when there were 17,000 people. Nothing materially has changed in this last 10 days. How come there were lesser people today or yesterday? So nothing materially has changed. The support for Anna, I mean, people could see crowds and thronging the grounds in Chennai and Bangalore. So what changed? So
well, that's a question Team Anna must reflect on, Shazia, because we've got these images now from Lucknow, from Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, even New Delhi at the Ramleela Maidan. So they're all empty, just a handful of people. Is this calling for serious introspection on the part of Team Anna or not? You tell me what's changed. Why did people not show up?
No, I'm asking you. I mean, what has changed materially? The same Anna Hazare, when he goes to Bangalore and Chennai 10 days back, has 15,000 to 17,000 people. And 10 days later, he doesn't have that kind of support. Nothing materially changed. And when we talked to people there, they said all our supporters confirmed, and many of them were out of town. And we just felt that we will rally around. We expected more support from the team. And as for MMRDA, I mean, I know myself that we took care of a few things and the crowd swelled up. You saw that for yourself, Rahul. And within just few hours, everything changed. And I regret, in fact, and I feel bad that we had to call it off because a lot of people were indeed disappointed.
Do you believe that as well, Dr. Tharoor, the fact that the real reason is not his waning support, but the fact that he was unwell and couldn't have carried on? Because we saw towards the evening when he was calling off his fast, people were coming in. And that's what Team Anna is saying, this is not a defeat. He was unwell, he couldn't have carried on his fast. If he'd gone on tomorrow and day after, the crowds would have been much more, Dr. Tharoor.
To be honest, Rahul, I hadn't had a minute to look at Anna Hazareji's fast or whether people are coming or not coming. I'm a member of Parliament. I have a responsible job to do in Parliament. That's where I've been and that's where I've been focused. And I might add, that's where the nation is focused. We now have a bill. After 8 previous unsuccessful attempts, 42 years of trying, we have a bill that has passed the Lok Sabha. It creates a strong, independent, anti-corruption agency. It gives the nation for the first time a chance to actually have a Lokpal in place. And my only message to all the young people here who are, I can hear briefly on your show, is give the law a chance to work. It's time to move on and end the politics of agitation. We have in our country a pretty good record of independent institutions that when first created, people never expected to see them functioning with the teeth that they showed in practice. The Election Commission, the Controller and Auditor General, the Right to Information Act. All of these, when they were first brought into, everyone said, oh, this is going to be just something that the government is going to control. In practice, with good people heading them, and with the nature, the democratic nature of our society, they've all become very, very respected, even feared independent institutions. I'm convinced the same thing will happen to the Lokpal. You just need to give the Lokpal a chance. It's time to move on. I want to say to the people from the Team Anna, as they call themselves, your voice has been heard. You have done a service to the nation in raising the urgency of this issue, an issue which was already on our agenda and on the agenda of the National Advisory Council, chaired by the Congress President, but nonetheless, you have helped move it farther and faster. Now it's done. There is a law that's passed. Let's get it on the books, let's get it working, and then we can see how the country is going to benefit from
because the next question is what happens to this agitation which is now taking a clearly political turn. And I want to put this question to Shazia Ilmi. When Anna Hazare was asked about the betrayal by the BJP on the issue of the Lokayukts coming under the purview of the same bill, he didn't answer that question. Arvind Kejriwal didn't give us a convincing answer. He walked out immediately thereafter. So now people are wondering, was what Digvijay Singh saying all this while correct? When he said that this is propped up by the RSS and the BJP, it all now seems to be fitting in, and that's the impression that people are taking back, that this was all this while an out-and-out political agitation, Shazia.
Well, Digvijay Singh must first explain as to what he was doing with Nanaji Deshmukh, smiling away, and he was very sheepish about
I will
it.
not allow you to
And
divert
as
the
for
debate
Congress
over here.
party-
Shazia, my question is simple.
No,
On
no,
the
I'll
issue
answer.
of the
I will
BJP's
answer.
betrayal,
I will
why
answer.
did Arvind Kejriwal or Anna Hazare not answer
I
that
will
question?
answer.
Is
If you
that
let
not
me
a
answer,
betrayal?
Rahul,
The
if you
fact
let
that
me
in the
answer.
sense of the House resolution,
No,
they
it's not.
backed the creation
No,
of a
it's not.
Lokayukt,
No,
and then they
you know
don't
what would
support
be
it
a
on the
betrayal?
floor of the House.
Do you know what would be a betrayal? Do you know what would be a betrayal? To force this kind of a weak Lokayukt upon states which have better Lokayukta. That would be betrayal. That would be travesty. Because right now they have a better functioning Lokayukta, and you're taking that away and you have something which is superseding these where they lapse. And you, by virtue of this constitutional amendment, you force these Lokayuktas to not function and have a weaker system in place. Aren't we answerable to people of Uttaranchal? Hasn't the Uttaranchal Assembly also passed the bill? You talk about parliamentary sovereignty and supremacy. Aren't those elected representatives who have actually passed the bill and decided to give their people a better bill and a tougher law and a tougher and a better Lokayukta? You're taking that away and you're forcing your own weak Lokayukta. I think that's a travesty and that's a betrayal.
I want to go to Anupam Kher on this issue of the movement turning purely political. You said you were coming on the movement's platform because it was apolitical. Now Anna Hazare has made it clear this is a political movement. He will be targeting the Congress in the 5 poll-bound states. Do you think that's acceptable? Because lots of people are saying the BJP too went back on their promises to Team Anna. Nobody in Team Anna is saying a word about that. It's almost as if the BJP's follies don't matter. The only thing Team Anna wants to do is gun after the Congress party, Mr. Anupam
Rahul,
Kher.
you didn't hear me. Rahul, you didn't hear me. I said that.
Rahul, I could not hear what my friend Mr. Tharoor said. I only heard just now what Shazia said, and she's still speaking. I feel that, first of all, I'm not a member of Team Anna. I supported this movement and I still support it because it's about corruption, which has eaten up our country almost completely. But I also want to say that we are a nation of thankless people. It took 42 years for the parliament to admit this bill, and now a man who is singularly responsible for hurrying up and the people taking him seriously, we are trying to pull him down. We are finding reasons to pull him down. That's the kind of nation we have become, unfortunately. We don't like success and we want it to continue. But I did not think that it will happen to a person like Anna, who is rustic, who is not politically correct kind of a person like politicians are, smile on the face and dagger in the hand. So I think we should be calmer about him. We should be kinder to him for uniting the whole country. I have never seen so many people holding the national flag of this country together. I have never seen the youth of this country shouting slogans Jai Hind or Bharat Mata Ki Jai or Inqilab Zindabad. I think that 100 years later somebody will be saying there is walking in another Gandhi. So to say that thin crowd or to say that he is now becoming political, I think it is the nature of ours.
Mr. Kher, you're saying people are trying to pull him down.
We say that,
need to be kinder to him. But Mr. Kher, is this not a valid question? The fact that the BJP, in the sense of the House resolution, says it will back the proposal for a Lokayukt for the states and then does a volte-face. So do the follies of the BJP not matter? Does it not bring out the fact that this is an agitation that is singularly targeting just one party, Mr. Kher?
No, Rahul, this question should be asked to the politicians or the spokespeople of Team Anna. I will answer this question as I feel correctly, and I feel correctly about it emotionally. I am not a political analyst, so I will not be able to answer your questions. I feel that what we need to do is to thank Anna Hazare.
Now, Shazia wants to come in and respond, but before that, I'll just give you a quick excerpt from what Shashi Tharoor said in his speech yesterday. He actually quoted provisions from the Uttarakhand Lokayukt bill, which had provisions which you were opposing, which the BJP was opposing on the floor of the House. So does this hypocrisy and double standards, do these not matter? Isn't the singular focus of the agitation to try and pin down and make the Congress look bad? These follies of the BJP, Team Anna seems very willing to gloss over. Shazia.
Rahul, opposition, even the poor elected representatives, all the MPs with all their notes of dissent, first in the standing committee and then in the parliament, 55 amendments were all struck down. It was clearly the Congress party's bill. 1. two, because there was a whip, even the independent Congress MPs had no choice in the matter but to follow the farman and the diktat by the High Command. So essentially this bill reflects the aspirations of only a few persons, the executive and some important ministers in this party, and no one else, not even the rest of Congress party, let alone the opposition, let alone the other elected members of parliament. What are you talking about? Every single amendment was struck down. Clearly it's nothing to do with Team Anna, this bill. But you know, the very
Rahul,
fact that for 42 years, you know, this bill has been on the back burner.
Let Dr. Shashi Tharoor respond to it. Dr. Tharoor, BJP and Team Anna both making the point that the only bunch of people, the only party that could have done something was the Congress, and they're the ones who betrayed Anna's faith, and therefore Anna's anger and angst is completely justifiable, because the Congress promised a strong Lokpal, they didn't deliver, therefore Congress must be their target. Dr. Tharoor.
Well, I believe we have delivered a strong Lokpal. It is a result of a deliberative process, including wide consultation with all shades of opinion outside and inside Parliament. Some compromises were made, and indeed some amendments were brought in by the government on the basis of requests from other parties, such as the amendment requiring the states to consent to having a Lokayukta in their states. But the basic Lokpal that we have come up with is a strong Lokpal. I don't think we need to apologize for it at all. As I pointed out in my speech, its provisions are a good deal stronger than those in Uttarakhand, which young Shazia and the BJP were holding up as a model of a good Lokayukta. Ours is actually much stronger and has fewer supervisory conditions than theirs. For example, theirs, a committee of the Legislative Assembly can demand an annual appraisal of the Lokayukta, whereas in our case Parliament is not superior to the Lokpal. The Lokpal is independent of Parliament, and so on. So we have a much stronger bill. We think it is a very strong bill. We think obviously the working of the bill in practice is going to be what matters. But we would have obviously anchored it in the Constitution had the BJP gone along with us there. The truth is, we were ready to have a constitutional amendment which would have given the institution even more strength, and we all voted for it. It was the opposition that did not vote for us in bringing this into the
Mr. Sheshadri Chari, does it not seem as if the Congress...
we have a bill that will be a law but not a constitutional amendment.
Does it not seem as if the BJP and Team Anna were hand in gloves? Because Team Anna is simply not taking on the BJP on any of their promises which have not been kept. Now, this works really well for you because in your best case scenario, you'd like Anna Hazare to go to these 5 poll-bound states and campaign against the Congress because that suits the BJP perfectly.
Not at all. It's not the question of Anna campaigning against Congress. We do believe that Anna Hazare brought this issue of corruption into the forefront of Indian polity. To that extent, we should thank Anna Hazare for it, number one. Number two, as Mr. Shashi Tharoor, Dr. Shashi Tharoor wants to say, all these institutions which he has named have all grown in stature and in functioning independently over a period of time. But they were not, when they were made independent. Similarly, after having learnt from the experience of all these institutions, there was no need for a Lokpal to develop independently on its own and wait for another 5 years or 10 years or probably half a dozen years to wait for this institution to bring up to that kind of a stature. We could have made this Lokpal much more stronger going by the experience of earlier institutions. As far as the BJP's viewpoint is concerned, we don't think that this bill is strong enough. That is why so many amendments were given, and the whole country saw that these amendments were struck down by the Congress, thereby squarely trying to blame the opposition, the BJP and the left.
Mr. Sheshadri Chari, in the sense of the House resolution, the BJP committed itself to the bringing of a Lokayukta Act which would be applicable to the states as well. You went back on that promise on the floor of the House. So you're also as responsible for having betrayed Anna Hazare.
Rahul, we still stand by it, but not by the method and manner, not by the method and manner in which it has been brought down. We have to make legislations in such a manner that we do not step on the toes of the Constitution or the federal structure of the
Shashi Tharoor wants to come in and intervene.
This was our point.
No, I just want to say I'm not aware of a single amendment proposed by the BJP that would have made the Lokpal stronger either in terms of what Team Anna is asking or in any other way. Their amendments were, for example, things like introducing Article 252 of the Constitution into some of the language, things like that. I would like Mr. Chari to give me one example of a concrete power that the BJP moved an amendment for that was rejected. The fact is that there isn't one. And the reason there isn't one is because our bill is indeed that of a strong Lokpal. What the BJP did do was vote against the constitutional amendment. I think they have to face their responsibility for that.
Which is something, Mr. Chari, the BJP committed to in the standing committee. In the deliberations, you accepted that the Lokpal will be a constitutional body.
No, the idea of constitutional body did not come from the BJP. The idea of constitutional body came from one single individual member
and you wanted
of the
to
Congress
spite
party
him, show him down, which is why you vetoed it.
Who was sneaked
Is it not a better idea to have the Lokpal as a constitutional body? Would that not have made the Lokpal a stronger institution? What's the rationale behind vetoing that?
The country can still have a debate on whether we require it to be made a constitutional body or not. If this has to be made into a constitutional body, the Congress party the government can come up with another amendment straight away stating that this is the demand. Let this be debated at length and then brought up. The Congress has brought up certain unnecessary issues like reservation for Muslims on the basis of religion. No constitutional body has any reservation based on religion.
Okay, I now want to shift our attention to the next question we are putting on center stage this evening. Is this a tactical retreat or is this an outright defeat? I want to put that question to Mr. Anupam Kher. Mr. Kher, do you see Anna Hazare and his movement being able to recover from this setback that Jail Bharo Andolan has now been called off? Maybe because they thought that support was dwindling, people might not show up, that would have been an even bigger embarrassment. Or do you think the movement can revive itself, Mr. Kher?
No, before that I want to make an observation. Why are you sounding so surprised and shocked at the politicians playing politics? Is it the first time, whether it's BJP or Congress or anybody else who has played politics, that there are last minute changes stances or something like that? Don't we remember the 12-day government of Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee? Don't we see cash for votes things happening? So I think in politicians we expect such things to happen. As far as Anna, of course Anna was, I'm sure he was demoralized by the response of Bombay. I'm sure about that. I'm sure they were disheartened by the response. But is it Anna's fault? I think it's the fault of the city, particularly who did not show up at all. I think when we have Taj attacked by the terrorists, we are very, very together and we go with the candles and burn them outside the Taj thing, and we sort of move a peace march when it comes to polling. It's the lowest turnout on the poll is from Mumbai. So I think the people of Mumbai should sort of do a thinking about it and sort of say that why did not they go there and support. I don't think it's a failure of Anna Hazare or Team Anna.
Dr. Tharoor, I hope the Congress is not feeling that the pressure is off. So we now don't need to work that hard to push the bill through. Anna Hazare has already said he will campaign against us. We'll deal with him electorally. In any case, interest and support seems to be fading. Therefore, the Congress can now afford to let the bill fall in the Rajya Sabha because no MP really wants it. You know that very well. Nobody really wants the Lokpal to come in. Let it fall. We can always tell the people we tried our best and blame the BJP. I hope that's not working counterintuitively in the minds of the MPs and the ministers.
But let me assure you, Rahul, first of all, we passed this bill. We made the Prime Minister and many senior leaders spent 12 hours in Parliament yesterday till midnight getting this bill passed. So I think it's extremely important to understand that this has been a very serious commitment by the Congress party. And what is more, the bill is now going to the Rajya Sabha as a bill that we have already passed. Unfortunately, we don't have the same numbers in the Rajya Sabha that we have in the Lok Sabha. Our people will definitely vote for the bill. If others do not vote for it, it would be extremely cynical and I must say terribly unfair to blame the Congress party saying that you really wanted it to fail. If we wanted to fail, why would we vote for it? We are voting for it. We are demanding it. And I would say that if indeed there are people in the BJP or elsewhere who want to cynically suggest that we really want the bill not to pass, then they should frustrate us by voting for the bill. Please vote for the bill, let the bill pass, and then you won't have to be able to say that the Congress really wanted us to let it fall.
Before I
it seems to be absurd to suggest that we are making the BJP vote against our own bill.
One small question to Mr. Tharoor.
Yes, go on, Mr. Kher.
Hello, Anupam.
I have great regard for Dr. Tharoor. I just wanted to ask him, does he feel that this is the strongest Lokpal bill that has been introduced? And if that's so, why isn't CBI being made into an autonomous body?
It is. It is completely autonomous. The language of the bill makes it very clear that as far as the investigations are concerned, the government cannot interfere in the CBI. It's only the financial and administrative aspects of the CBI's functioning that are under the government, and there has to be. You can't have a separate government of India just to supervise the CBI. These are government officers. They will have functions that the Lokpal doesn't give them to do, and they need to be paid salaries and administered by the government of India.
But it's always
but on the investigation side, they're completely autonomous.
It will always be the... Yeah, but it will always be the ruling party who will choose the director of CBI. So isn't that a possibility that whosoever, whether you or any other government comes in, that they will have a lot to say?
No, the CBI director is chosen by a group of people who will include the Prime Minister, the leader of the opposition, and the only dispute is about who the third person should be. But it will be a committee that will choose the CBI, and it will not just be the government of the day.
Well, now the attention is shifting to the Rajya Sabha, and the big question is, will this bill go through? The Congress in the morning, we know, was trying very hard, but they felt maybe that the pressure was coming off now that Anna had called off his fast. It will be an exciting day. Tomorrow in the Rajya Sabha, everybody is preparing their speeches, so you can expect some cracking speeches. We had a great speech from Shashi Tharoor, from Kapil Sibal, from Sushma Swaraj. There'll be some fantastic speeches in the Rajya Sabha as well tomorrow, and we'll get you all the action. Let's just hope the Lokpal in some fashion goes through both in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, because that will be a tribute to Anna Hazare. It might not have been a complete victory, it would be a partial victory nonetheless. We'll keep tracking this agitation and wondering whether the magic is wearing off. For the moment, Mr. Anupam Kher, Shazia Ilmi, Shashi Tharoor and Sheshadri Chari for joining us on the show this evening. Thank you very much. The opposition has tasted blood after a major loss of face for the government in the Lok Sabha. The BJP is now plotting its Rajya Sabha move. The Congress too is working overtime to get its numbers right. So what can you expect tomorrow? The action is in the Rajya Sabha. Will the